We are experiencing a childcare crisis. We have rising costs, a lack of access, poor quality standards, and news articles like this. It's a parent's worst nightmare. I'm a former corporate auditor. I specialize in risk assessment. I've taken my professional background as well as my lived experience as a mother trying to navigate this broken system to come up with the 10 essential questions you should be asking before you enroll your child into a daycare center. Let's dig in. The first question you should ask is, who owns the center? This you can probably find online, but if not, make sure you ask this question. There is a large spectrum in terms of ownership of daycare centers. It can be anything from a large corporate chain or franchise all the way down to a small family-owned boutique type center. It's not fair to say that one is better or worse, but they do come with different trade-offs. If it is a very large corporate chain, how rapidly are they expanding? It can be difficult, just like in business, if you expand too quickly and your quality controls are not in place and you aren't able to maintain the same level of rigor across all of your centers. When it comes to a smaller owner-operated center, some of the benefits are that the center's reputation is that owner's reputation. Typically, there's a higher level of accountability. They tend to be a little bit more flexible and adaptable. The other layer to this is, what is the business model? Is it a for-profit center or is it a not-for-profit center? If it's a large corporate chain, they are going to be a for-profit center, meaning they're always going to be incentivized to deliver value to their shareholders and put profits first. The way you maximize profit is either by increasing revenue, which are the fees they charge the parents, or decreasing costs. The most effective way to decrease costs is going to be to reduce the largest expense line item, which is staff. Staff is critical. It's the heart and soul of the center, is the quality of educators you actually have. And you want to be aware if a center is prioritizing profits, are they taking shortcuts when it comes to staffing, such as not having enough staff present, or perhaps not investing in their staff by providing them with sufficient development and training opportunities. A nonprofit center is not incentivized in the same ways. Any profits that they make, they reinvest into the center itself. It's not fair to say that a for-profit model is always bad and a not-for-profit model is always good, nor is it fair to say a large franchise is necessarily bad and a small independent-owned center is good, but these are the types of questions and conversations that you should be having. You should have a clear understanding of whether your center is for profit and who owns it. The second question you should ask is around turnover, but don't just ask what's the turnover here. Be specific. What is the turnover rate over the last 12 months? What is the tenure of the specific educators in my child's room? A high turnover rate can often indicate burnout, poor working conditions, poor pay. These are definitely things you want to be aware of. It may be a red flag if they have all new educators in your child's room that have only been there for 3 months. It could be a big red flag if they have had a significant amount of turnover, particularly in the leadership roles of the center. Consistency in care is so vital to your child's emotional well-being. They do really attach to the educators there. And if you have a revolving door, that is not going to be what's best for your child. Question number 3, is the director on site? Who is on site in their absence and runs the operations of the center? The director is the operational leader. It is important for them to have a presence at the center for decision-making and accountability. If you have a center where the director is often not there or managing across multiple centers, that's something to be very aware of. Also, it would be good to understand who is the second in charge, meet them as well, and understand their level of experience at the center. Question number 4, what are your exact child to staff ratios? Are you aiming for the minimum legal requirement or are you striving to be above that? Many centers here in Australia are only meeting the basic minimum legal requirement. So for example, if you have a child under 2, that means 1 educator to 4 children. I don't know about you, I would have a really hard time managing 4 toddlers on my own. And sometimes the minimum legal requirement is not an indication of quality. So ask the question. I personally rate a center that has higher ratios than the bare minimum maintained. How many educators is really going to have a direct impact on the level of supervision, reduction in incidents, and quality of care to the children. You don't want to have a center where the legal ratios are not maintained or they are understaffing. What is your specific documented procedures when it comes to problematic behavior in a center? For example, biting, pushing, hitting. Do you have any children currently exhibiting this, and how are you handling it? You want to avoid a vague, unsatisfactory answer and get specifics on how they're supporting both the families who are on the giving and receiving end of these behaviors. While it can be developmentally common, they're still problematic, and this comes down to the safety of your child. One of the best ways that they can help with this is increasing supervision and actually getting more educators involved to shadow children who may be exhibiting them, giving them more support. If they have a significant rate of these types of problematic behaviors, it can also mean that the environment is overstimulating for them. So that could potentially be a red flag, although not always, because it is a developmentally typical thing. But you want to ensure that they're actually taking action and doing something and working with the families in a positive and constructive way. What is your detailed screening and background check process for all staff? That includes the educators working with children, but even the kitchen staff, administration. Ask about all of it. Are they doing police checks, working with children checks, first aid, CPR? How frequently are those things rechecked? How frequently is training renewed? As well as all their educational background. What are the certificates that they hold? This has to do with the quality of care and curriculum that your child receives. This is obviously a critical question for safety standards, and it's important to ask. Question 7, what is your sickness and exclusion policy? How are you preventing the spread of illness in your center? For example, how often are you disinfecting the toys that all the children touch? Is there airflow in the room? Are they spending a significant amount of time outdoors, which you'd probably want anyway, not just to reduce sickness? Are they washing hands before every single mealtime? How do you deal with the water bottles? A lot of children end up drinking out of each other's water bottles if they're easily accessible to everyone. How do they handle those types of common situations where sickness can spread? Are they upholding those exclusion policies and ensuring that children do have doctor's notes when they return? Also, vaccine status. What is their process for ensuring that children are vaccinated at the center? These are all really good conversations to have before you enroll. Question 8, what is the center's explicit policy on screen time? A good center will have very little screen time. It should be limited and restricted, especially for little children. You are not paying to let your kids watch TV at the end of the day. So ensuring that you get a good response. A lot of them do use tablets and things to take and photograph children in terms of updates for parents, but you just want to ensure that this is restricted and limited. How does the curriculum and environment actively promote diversity, inclusion, and cultural responsiveness? This is not about ticking a box. It's about ensuring that your child truly does feel welcome and included. I would ask for examples of books and lessons and toys that they have that is going to help better prepare your children for the modern world. You want to ensure you are going to a place where your background, regardless of what it is, the family structure you have, the cultural or ethnic background, is truly welcome and celebrated at the center. My last question is, what is your process for seeking and implementing parent feedback and concerns? At the end of the day, you can't ask every single question on this planet to best prepare you, but it's more important that when issues do come up, that your center is receptive to that feedback and they action it. Things like parent surveys, open door communication with the director and the owner are really going to be important and speak to the culture of the center. Are they one that is seeking out and happy to hear parent feedback, or do you get a sense that they're going to be hesitant and resist that? It should really go beyond a yearly check-in, but a more ongoing and open conversation that's transparent and honest. So there you have it, 10 questions to ask before you enroll your child. There is a couple elephants in the room when it comes to this video. The first one is that I am assuming you have choice. We have daycare deserts. We have areas where there's such little access or such extreme competition that you may not even have the luxury of choosing between centers. That is a systemic problem that we do have, and we need government reform. It is unfortunate and frustrating that the onus has been put on parents to do this due diligence and to do this rigor. We should be able to trust trust these institutions that are taking care of our children, there should be significant regulatory oversight so that it is not another burden on parents who are seeking childcare because they have too much on their plate already. I also recognize that this is not a comprehensive list, that there are lots of questions and things that can pop up in the future, but I hope this list better prepares you and helps you think of things that maybe you didn't initially. In my next video, I'm going to be covering 8 daycare red flags. You might get perfect answers, and that is a really good preventative measure, but things can always change and things can go wrong. So I'm making my next video on how to identify some of those red flags so that you can act as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching.